Hi YouTube. So I thought maybe I should talk a little bit more about having polycystic ovarian syndrome and how it's affected me a little bit. A lot of what I've read, I've noticed that a lot of people seem to have signs early on in their life. Even if they don't know that they have PCOS, they always seem to have signs that kind of pinpoint it. And I kind of feel like I never had those signs. Uh, like I got my period when I was 12, and it was clockwork. I had it 28 days on the dot every single month. Like, I would never miss it. Um, and the only, odd thing maybe I could say about my cycles is that they were 8 days long every month, and they were probably heavy for 5 of those 8 days. But it was nothing I can complain about, really. Like, I never had pain or anything like that from them. They were just long. It was just really just an annoyance more than anything. And they were like that from until I was about 16 when I went on birth control. And then, I've been on birth control from the age of 16 until I was about 16 to 19. I was on orthotricycline. And then from 19 to about 23, I was on Depo. And then I went back on the pill again from the age of about 23 till 25, and I went on Orthocept. And the only reason I did that is because I told the doctor that my cycles were 8 days long on the other pill, and gave me the other one to try, and it dropped them down to 4 to 5 days. So I thought that was wonderful. So besides that, I never really had any symptoms or any inkling that anything could be wrong in the future. I guess being on birth control for so long, you would never even know that, right? Since birth control seems to suppress many, if not all, of the symptoms of PCOS. Um, so after I got married in June of last year, as soon as our honeymoon was over in July, my husband and I decided, you know what? We're going to start trying. We've been talking about it for years. We've been together for so long. I think it's time to start. So I checked the pills and away we went. And like I said in my first video, we kind of thought it wouldn't take very long. A couple months, we'll get pregnant. You spend so long trying to prevent it, it shouldn't be that hard to get pregnant, right? Yeah, I was wrong on that one. So I started in July. We would start in July trying to conceive. And my cycle starting September 30th, I decided that I'm going to start tracking my basal body temperature. I read about so much of it online, and it seemed like something I can do pretty easily. I wake up at the same time pretty much every day. It's worth a shot. So the first cycle I did that, the chart didn't really give me what I was expecting. It kind of looked like maybe it was going to show that I ovulated, and then my temperatures kind of plummeted, and I wasn't really happy with it, but I kind of just brushed it off too. I haven't been off birth control very long. This is my first cycle trying to do this tracking, and it'll take me a while to get used to it. So even the next couple cycles after that, the charts weren't really giving me what I was hoping they would. Even when they said that I ovulated, they I didn't really get much of a rise. They kind of, rose slightly and then kind of plateaued, but I don't know. I just wasn't really happy with them. And along with that, my cycles weren't regulating either. My first cycle was 28 days when I came off the pill, and I was like, yes, I'm gonna be regular. It's gonna be great. Then the next one was 39 days, 32 days, then 39 days. So I was yeah, kind of disappointed in that. And then that's when the cycle starting in January 10th, I think it was, I had the extremely long cycle. I was so confused. First I thought, oh my God, I'm going to be pregnant. I haven't got my period. But then I really paid attention to my chart, and my chart really did not show me ovulating. It was just kind of up and down forever. So then, when I expected my period, it came and gone. So I just kept tracking and thought, maybe I'll just ovulate late. Whatever. So I kept on tracking, the cycle kept on going, and then it got to the point where I was expecting my period to come the second time. Um, so that time came and gone again, so I thought maybe I'll take a test. I've taken so many tests the month before, those cycles that were 39 days, hoping I was pregnant, and in the end, my cycle just dragged on. So I took a test one day, and I saw such a faint line. But I was convinced it had to be there because all the other months I took tests, I couldn't even try to pretend there was a line there. Like, there was no way. It was stark white. So I was getting really excited, and I showed it to some friends of mine, some other TTC friends that I've met online, and they said they saw lines too, and I was getting kind of excited, and it's like, oh my God, it happened, and uh, this is just a fluke cycle. It I don't know why it extended so long, but I'm pregnant. Next day I took another test, negative. So I was kind of upset about that a lot. Because I knew like, I didn't imagine the positive. It was definitely there, but in the end, I'm assuming I just had a chemical pregnancy. I never went and verified with my doctor, like, get my bloods done to see if I actually was pregnant or not, because I ended up getting my period after that. It ended up being a 75-day cycle. So that kind of sucked. In the middle of that cycle is when I actually contacted my doctor, when I probably reached around 52 days, about checking to see, what could be wrong. So during that appointment is when I got my bloods tested. They also wanted to check other things, check my thyroid, check to see if I had diabetes, anything else that could be causing it. And everything came back great. Like, besides being plus size, I'm extremely healthy. So she said, if I still don't get my period after a certain time, call back. Well then, like I said, I got my period after like day 75 or something. So I thought nothing of it, whatever. Then my period kind of came, and then it was gone. And then my husband and I would have sex, and I start bleeding again. Which is pretty scary. Like, all of a sudden you just start bleeding out of nowhere. And I was like, oh, maybe I wasn't on my period. I bleed for about an hour, and then it stopped. It was gone. Okay, whatever. So, 2 days later, I'd have sex with my husband again, and I start bleeding again. Like, you'd think we were having sex. Sorry if this is TMI, but you'd think we were having sex, like, right in the middle of my period. It was that much. But then again, an hour later, I'd be done. And then the next day, I'd call it somewhere in between spotting and a light flow. And that went on for a few days, and then it would stop again. Well, I called my doctor again, and she set up for me to get an ultrasound to check my ovaries, because she kind of had some suspicions that it might be PCOS, but she didn't want to jump to conclusions. So I went for the internal ultrasound, and that went fine. And then when I got home, I started bleeding again. And then after that, it was pretty much non-stop for the rest of that cycle, for the 30 some odd days. Then I got my period, or at least I think it was a period. Went to its normal flow. And then after that was done, I still kind of bled. Anywhere between a spotting to a light flow. I think in the end, I pretty much had almost 50 some odd days in a row bleeding, and I was like, I can't put up with this anymore. What is going on with me? So then that got me all the way to May, and that is when I finally, after my doctor got the results of the ultrasound, went in and talked, and she told me that, I did have PCOS, just as she was suspecting, but she just didn't want to jump to conclusions.